After helping hundreds of Canadians prepare for retirement, I can tell you one thing with certainty. I've never seen two retirement plans that look the same. And yet people still love retirement rules. The problem? Retirement planning is personal. And just because some bloke on YouTube says something worked for him, doesn't mean it applies to you. Today, I want to challenge 5 retirement beliefs that get repeated over and over again because some of them sound sensible, right up until you see how they actually play out in real life. It's your favourite Scotsman here again, and let's start with perhaps the biggest one of all. The biggest risk in retirement is running out of money. Now, before everyone starts firing angry comments at me, hear me out, because on the surface, this sounds perfectly reasonable. You've worked for 30 or 40 years, you've saved diligently, you've sacrificed, and now suddenly someone is telling you to stop earning and start spending. Of course you're worried. In fact, if I asked a room full of Canadians approaching retirement what keeps them up at night, I'd bet almost all of them would give some version of the same answer. Chris, I'm terrified of running out of money. And that fear is real. But here's where I think people get caught out, because sometimes the fear of running out of money creates an entirely different problem. I've seen people delay retirement for years when they were already financially ready. I've seen people refuse to travel, refuse to spend, refuse to help family, refuse to enjoy the very things they spent decades saving for. Not because they couldn't afford it, because they were scared. And here's the irony. In my experience, many retirees don't actually run out of money. They run out of healthy years. They run out of energy. They run out of mobility. They run out of time. You can always leave money to your kids. You cannot leave them your healthy 60s. Now, obviously, I'm not saying throw caution to the wind, buy a Ferrari and start ordering champagne at lunch on a Tuesday. You still need a plan. But retirement isn't simply about staring at your investment account like a hawk every month and hoping the line keeps moving in the right direction. Because if fear causes you to spend 20 years protecting money you never use, then what exactly was the point of saving it in the first place? Now, speaking of retirement assumptions, let's move on to another one I hear all the time, that you'll naturally spend less in retirement. And to be fair, there's a reason people believe it. You'll hear rules of thumb like you only need 70 or 80% of your pre-retirement income. Lovely. Nice and simple, nice little formula. The only problem? Retirement doesn't really work like that. And this is where people get caught out. People assume retirement hits and suddenly life gets cheaper overnight. No commuting, no RRSP contributions. Mortgage might be gone. Kids are off doing their own thing. Sounds reasonable enough. Then retirement actually shows up. Now you're travelling more, taking up golf, helping the kids, helping grandkids, doing the kitchen renovation you put off for 15 years. And somehow lunch on a Tuesday becomes perfectly acceptable because apparently every day is a Saturday now. Funny how that works. For a lot of people, those early retirement years can actually be some of the most expensive because now you finally have something you've not had enough of for years. Time. And hopefully you still have your health and energy too. You spent decades saying we'll do that in retirement. Then retirement arrives and suddenly the bill comes due. Now eventually spending often does taper off. You've heard me talk before about the go-go, slow-go and no-go years. But assuming spending magically drops the day you retire, that's where people can get themselves into trouble. Now let's move on to the one that the internet absolutely loves. You should take CPP at age 70. Apparently somewhere along the way this became retirement gospel. And look, if you spend enough time on YouTube, eventually some bloke with a thumbnail pointing at a giant CPP logo will tell you delaying to age 70 is the greatest financial decision ever made. And to be fair, there absolutely can be a case for delaying. If you're healthy and longevity runs in the family, statistically there can be a very strong argument because longevity risk is real. The longer you live, the more valuable that larger guaranteed income becomes. But this is where people oversimplify things because every year you delay CPP, you're funding retirement from somewhere else. You're drawn from your RRSP, your TFSA, your non-registered investments, your own pile of money. So the real question isn't, should I delay CPP? The real question is, do I value more guaranteed income later or preserving more of my own capital today? Because delaying CPP gives you more secure income down the road, taking it earlier can preserve more of your investments and potentially leave more behind for your family. Neither one is automatically right. And then, just to make life a wee bit more annoying, taxes show up and complicate everything. If you've got a large pension and substantial income later in retirement, adding CPP at age 70 could push you into higher tax brackets or even old age security clawback territory. On the flip side, if you retire early and have lower income years, delaying CPP while strategically drawing down RRSPs can sometimes work brilliantly. So, despite what the bold headlines in YouTube might tell you, CPP isn't some magic retirement cheat code. And if we're being honest, the perfect age to take CPP is something you probably won't know until you're 6 feet under anyway. And by then, I suspect you'll have bigger things on your mind than whether age 68 would have beaten age 70. Now, before we move on, if you're enjoying this and want help sorting through some of these retirement decisions for yourself, grab the free retirement guide in the pinned comment below. Because as you've probably noticed by now, retirement planning isn't really about rules, it's about figuring out what actually makes sense for your situation. Now, speaking of retirement advice that gets treated like universal truth, let's move on to another one that I hear all the time. That everyone needs to melt down their RRSP. Apparently, somewhere along the way, RRSP meltdowns became retirement gospel too. And look, there absolutely can be a case for doing one. If you're trying to reduce future income taxes, avoid OAS clawbacks, smooth out income, or maximise what eventually gets passed on to family, then yes, there can be some very real planning opportunities. But ask yourself this, why are you doing it in the first place? Because if you're not trying to reduce taxes over your lifetime, preserve more wealth for your estate, or avoid larger tax issues later on, then you don't need to melt down your RRSP, just so you can tell the CRA you outsmarted them. I can't tell you how many times someone comes in asking about an RRSP meltdown, and when I ask, okay, why? The answer is usually something along the lines of, well, that's what they say they should do. Who's they? Some daft Scotsman on YouTube? No, that's not a reason. Like everything else in retirement, or life in general, there has to be a purpose behind it. Because you can retire at 55 and aggressively melt down your RRSP by age 70, but are you actually better off? If your goal is more after-tax income, does this get you there? If your goal is maximising your estate, does it help? If your goal is spending more while you're healthy and active, is this the best use of your money? Or are you just doing it because someone told you that's what smart retirees do? That's the question. And finally, let's move away from spreadsheets and tax planning for a minute, because this last one has very little to do with money and everything to do with happiness. The idea that the goal of retirement is to stop working. Now, I know that might sound odd coming from a retirement planner, but hear me out. Who decided retirement had to mean going from 40 or 50 hours a week to absolutely nothing? Because I've worked with hundreds of retirees, and I can tell you this, retirement's not for everybody. And I don't mean financially, I mean mentally. Some people genuinely love what they do. They enjoy the routine, the purpose, the social side of it, the challenge. And if that's you, why stop? Seriously, if you wake up in the morning and genuinely enjoy your work, like the people you work with, and still feel fulfilled doing it, why are we acting as if some magical birthday suddenly means you have to walk away? Now, obviously, if you hate your job, your boss drives you around the bend, and you spend every Monday morning wondering what poor life choices led you there, fair enough. Get out. But for a lot of people, retirement doesn't need to be all or nothing. Maybe it's fewer hours, consulting, part-time work, mentoring, a passion project. Maybe you keep doing the bits you enjoy and get rid of the bits you don't. Because I've seen people retire completely only to realise 6 months later they weren't actually tired of working, they were tired of stress, tired of commuting, tired of office politics, tired of nonsense. There's a difference. Retirement isn't about stopping, it's about having the freedom to choose. Before you go, don't forget to grab the free retirement guide in the pinned comment below, then watch this next video right here. Because after speaking with hundreds of retirees, I found something surprising. The happiest ones weren't chasing bigger bucket lists. I'll explain what they were doing instead.